internet! So it occurred to me that I haven't done a book review since September. I don't really know what happened. I think I just forgot that book reviews were a thing and just didn't do them for the last like 10 books that I read. So I decided that I wanted to do a book review because I felt like I was due to film one of those, and the book that I'm going to be reviewing today is Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. Now the first part of this review will be spoiler free, so don't worry if you haven't read it yet. I'm not going to spoil anything for you, and I will warn you before I get to the spoilery section. So, Stalking Jack the Ripper is a pretty intense book. It's about a girl named Audrey Rose who is extremely interested in forensics, even though that's not really something that women were supposed to be doing back then. However, her uncle is someone who studies different medical things, he does autopsies and that kind of thing, and so he lets her kind of apprentice with him so that way she can learn things, even though her father doesn't know that she's doing this. And he would be very upset if he didn't know about it. During this time is when the Jack the Ripper murders start to happen, and her uncle is doing autopsies on several of the victims, and Audrey is very interested in this case, and she's very upset by the fact that these women are being brutally murdered, which is understandable. So with the help of one of her uncle's students, Mr. Thomas Cresswell, they start to try and figure out who Jack the Ripper is and, in a sense, stalk him. It was a super intense story, and I loved how the author took bits from what actually happened and merged it with fiction to make it work for her characters. For example, she left the names of the victims the same, but since there is a lot that we don't actually know about the real victims, she kind of made up their own stories and what she would imagine maybe their life was like before, or that kind of thing, and I thought that was really interesting. Even though this book was super intense and I really enjoyed reading it, I also personally kind of felt detached from the story, and I'm not really sure why, but it did kind of make the reading experience less enjoyable, if you will. However, I loved Audrey as a character, and I loved her just total stance on just because I'm a woman doesn't mean that I can't have a brain too stance, that she is constantly throwing in the men's faces who try to make her feel like she can't have a brain and can't do anything because she's a woman. Overall, I ended up giving this book 4 out of 5 stars because I really enjoyed it, but again, I felt kind of detached from the story, and I don't really know why. I don't know if it was the writing style or what was happening. I really don't know why. Another thing, and this isn't spoilery either, but I felt like this book would have made a fantastic standalone, but it's actually the first book in what looks to be a trilogy, and I don't really know how I feel about that. I looked up what the second book is going to be about, and I can't really talk about it in this section. I'm going to save it for the spoilery section, but I feel like this should have just been a standalone. I don't really feel like there need to be more books, but that's just my personal opinion. So anyway, I ended up giving this book 4 out of 5 stars, and I have a few things that I kind of want to talk about in the spoilery section, so if you haven't read this book yet, go read it and then come back and watch the rest of the video. Okay, so there's just a couple of things that I wanted to touch on. First off, since I was already talking about the fact that this is the first book in a series, I'm going to continue that rant. So this book not only was kind of like a reimagining of the Jack the Ripper murders, but also in a way it was a reimagining of Frankenstein, and it looks like the second one is going to be kind of catered towards Dracula, and it's a little too much, I feel like, personally. I don't feel like we need any more books in this series. I think this would have made a great standalone on its own, and I'm still going to read it, but I feel kind of weird about it. I don't really know. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. Another thing I wanted to touch on is all of the accusations that they started to make in this book didn't always necessarily make sense to me, particularly the one about her father. She just all of a sudden seemed to think, oh, well, what if my father's Jack the Ripper? Like, it was no big deal, without even really second guessing it a whole lot, and then just started to accuse him and follow him around to find out if he was brutally murdering all of these women. And I didn't really follow along, like, I didn't really understand exactly why she wanted to accuse him. It just seemed really random to me, and acting like it's not a big deal to just accuse your father of brutally murdering people. I don't really know what that says about you or your father. I kind of had a feeling that Jack the Ripper was going to end up being her brother. I particularly kind of had it figured out whenever Audrey and Thomas were talking to the guy who could talk to the ghost. I can't remember what his name was, but he'd said something about the victim says that you talked to Jack the Ripper and that you were mad at him, and the only person that was there that Audrey didn't mention with her brother, and so I knew that it was going to be her brother. And the whole last scene, I don't know, I felt like it was missing something, but I don't really know what that was. I think maybe it had something to do with the writing, or maybe it just had something to do with me feeling detached from the story, and so I felt like it was personally missing something. I loved Audrey as a character. I really enjoyed the story. Those couple of things kind of were weird to me, and so I kind of wanted to mention it so that way you can let me know how you felt about those things down in the comments and we can talk about it. So I think that's all I really have to say about this book. Again, 4 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed it. I will read the rest of the books in the series, even though I don't think that it should be a series. Let me know down in the comments how you feel about the things that I discussed. And that will be it for this video, and I will see you guys next time with another video.